Hi, this is Angel Kraus, and these are directions to complete Module B, Step 3, which is a self-assessment. The self-assessment is a two-step process. The first is going to be completing the self-assessment that you see on the screen right now, which are the E-2.6A and E-2.6B documents that are spoken to in your directions for the module. So for the self-assessment, we encourage you to work on it with your support provider if possible. Another way that you can work on it is to complete it ahead of time and then discuss it with your support provider. But the self-assessments, both here and in task stream, which is the second step of the self-assessment, will be discussed with your support provider at length, because these findings that kind of come up here and that you display here will directly impact what you work on in Module C. So the self-assessments are really just a time for you to reflect on your teaching practice and how you're doing in your classroom. The E-2.6 documents are very specific to English language learners and to special populations. So again, if you do not have identified English language learner or special populations, choose students who best fit those categories. So if they're low English proficient, if they really struggle with writing or really struggle with reading, those are the students that you would want to choose. So here you have the topic over here. These are actually the standards that we were given as an induction program, and you read through these standards a little bit as we looked at the preliminary and the induction standards. So this is standard 6A. All along the left-hand side here, you can see there are quite a few of them. And the question here is how do I use measures of English language proficiency to make instructional decisions? And so how do you use the levels that they are to make instructional decisions? So here you can write, you can kind of answer the question, but you always want to speak to your strengths in this area in regards to the standard over here on the far left, and in regards to how you support the language in your classroom, strengths, and then what challenges have you had in regards to that. And no matter if you've been teaching for 1 month or for 10 years, you always have different challenges that arise because your student population is constantly changing and the student needs also constantly change. For this particular assessment, Module B, you're going to be doing the initial self-assessment. So go ahead and make sure you put the date there, and then you would describe your strengths and challenges related to instructional decisions here. The next one, again, is EL instruction with strategies to promote content mastery. So how do you support your students in development of academic language and English language development? How do I support my students in achieving mastery in academic content standards, and how do I use my classroom management skills to support my EL learners? So a lot of teachers just like to kind of go through and respond to each of these questions right here in the initial self-assessment, and you will just speak to both your strengths and your challenges in this area. I forgot to note this little area for evidence. As you are thinking throughout this year and next semester, at the end of the program, you're going to be submitting a portfolio. And that portfolio will have pieces of evidence, student work, student samples, things that you've created to help your students. And so if something comes to mind while you are answering these questions, it's great to list it here, because this is a great place to come back and to find all of the pieces of evidence that you would use in your portfolio. Also, this will help your support provider guide your conversation. You can say that you're really good at supporting your English language learners, but what evidence can you provide? Are you providing scaffolding sheets? Are you providing graphic organizers for them? Is there a certain way that you work with them that you can put down here in the evidence? So you'll go ahead and you'll continue answering that for all of the questions for your English language learners. There are 4 sections for your English language learners. And then the next section is teaching your special populations. So how do you collaborate with special services and general education personnel to ensure that the assessed needs of the students are met? If you don't have a special education department, how do you collaborate with other teachers? How do you collaborate with anybody who knows the student and what they do and how they work? Modifications, accommodations is another topic, and then behavioral support strategies. So again, for this Module B, Step 2, you're just doing your initial self-assessment. Again, this is just an assessment of where you feel that you are. What are your strengths, and what are some of the challenges that you've had in these areas? Put evidence as appropriate, and you'll be discussing all of this with your support provider, and you'll be saving it in your Dropbox. It will be submitted in the course, and it will be submitted under assignment 2.1, Assessment of Teaching and Learning, and that's at the end of the module. So you will submit that along with your Module B. So when you submit 2.1, you'll submit both Module B and you'll submit the E2 and E6 documents. I'm sorry, the E-2.6 documents. If you have any questions, please let me know. These directions are posted in the course so that you can review them again and again, but just to let you know, I am here to answer any questions, as is your support provider. Thank you.